7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
This is Eat and Drink with Ali Hassan and Marco Timpano, the podcast where back of house Ali and front of house Marco talk food and drink. Heads up, these two spent decades in restaurants, so some mature content and language is bound to come up. Get ready for Eat and Drink. Forks up.
I'm Marco Timpano.
I'm Ali Hassan.
This is Eat and Drink.
That's it. You hear that?
Yeah,
you hear
but-
that? We're drinking in real time, people. Real time. No, and in fact, you're staying true to your purest roots.
Right.
You could have prepped something ahead. You said
No, I
I'm
said
gonna
I want
prep
to
in the moment.
cut in real time.
Yeah. Well, what we're talking about today, this is what I do. I think of an ingredient, and I feel like it'll challenge Marco to find a paired drink with that ingredient, and it never does. You're always ready.
I'll be
you've got
honest
a
with
repertoire.
you. I have a better cocktail. I just couldn't get my act together to get all the ingredients.
on.
I know
How
it
are you
was
gonna
like
reveal that to
I
the
because
world,
I want to
Marco?
be honest. I'm not. You set me up, and then I pulled the last piece of the Jenga, and I just
I tossed the lob to you that you could hit a home run with that.
What I did was I took my hands away and just let it fall to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. I belong in Little League.
But sometimes I think when you don't do the obvious,
Yeah.
something even better can happen, and that's what I'm going with this particular drink.
I like it.
So
Nice.
our topic today,
Yes.
that you chose,
Cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
Why the cherry tomato?
Who doesn't love the cherry
This
tomato?
is the thing, even the only time I've seen some love for it go away is that when it's too warm. So my children love cold cherry tomatoes or room temperature. But if I just toss them in some sort of a warm pasta, then they don't like them. But if I cook them down, then they like them. So there's this little temperature. And personally, I don't care about any of that. That is no concern of mine, what
see.
my children like or don't like. But
That's good. That's good parenting.
Oh, I think
That-
so. I'm doing 1978 in this house,
For
man.
everyone who doesn't do that,
Yeah.
you're a bad parent. I'm going to
I
say.
don't know if you're a bad parent, but you're wasting a lot of time. You turn into a diner chef real
Yeah.
quick. What do you want? What do you want? Come on, we got 4 of these guys. We gotta plow through this.
I don't think I'd have the appreciation of food that I have today if my mom in particular didn't say, you're eating that or you're going to go hungry.
This is it. I met a 30. What was he? When he was 35, was the first time that he was trying a kebab. I had made just ground
Sure.
beef and spices. Kebab, man. And he was like, yeah, dude, I was a very picky eater as a child. And I don't know, I just pretty much ate hot dogs my entire life.
Yeah.
And that was the saddest bit of information that has ever been.
The funny thing is, so I was the firstborn, and then my folks had my sister, Mary Lena, and she's going to kill me for saying this, but
Yes.
all she wanted to eat as a child was hot dog and apple juice. Those were her things. And we tease her about it. And if she listens to this podcast, she'll be very upset that I
Yeah.
revealed not only her name, but that fact about her. So while I was forced to eat everything, she had
She was able to get away with it.
she
Your
got away
parents
with it
were
because
like,
she was a very picky and difficult eater when she
Okay.
was young. Now she'll eat.
She ate it all.
Well, no, she'll eat, but she's not as adventurous.
Is she still in the hot dog world?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't
good,
think
at
so.
least-
I
at
know.
least
I think
there's that.
she's okay without going for that. All right, so
Cherry tomatoes, I feel, it's a crowd pleaser. It's there's another element here, which is that any boob can grow cherry tomatoes.
that's the beauty of cherry tomatoes in particular.
And I'm very handy in the kitchen. In a garden, I'm a flop, man.
Really?
I'm a flop, and it bothers me so much.
Why, though?
I don't know what to tell you. It's like, when somebody gives you directions and then they add the words, you can't miss it.
Yeah.
I'm always going to miss it. I hate hearing those words. I feel like in gardening also, like, oh yeah, it's super simple. Zucchini will just grow itself. I screw up so much stuff, but not the cherry tomato.
Wait a second. Can we take this back and blame your parents for this? Did they have a garden when you were growing up?
They did. My mother has a green thumb.
Then we can't blame your parents.
My mother has a green thumb. My father doesn't go near it. He was like, I don't want to waste my time with it. Yeah. I remember the one time I saw my dad gardening was also the one time I saw him sweating.
Really?
Never saw this man sweat, and he was sweating in the garden, and I was like, one hand on the phone. I was like, he's gonna die.
Maybe he wore secret. Wasn't that there?
Well, yeah. Just right over
never
his
see them
forehead.
sweat? Was that there?
Yeah. I think it was there.
My family always had a garden, so
Yeah.
I never feared gardening and planting stuff. And then we had a garden in our community garden.
Nice.
And so I was very excited. Community garden, you know, you have your own little plot.
Yeah.
And then it became like the Nazi garden because the people in charge were very like, your garden's getting overgrown. You've got too many things in it. Wow. They were always coming down on me in my garden. I'm like, hang on here, folks. This little patch of earth right here in our community is mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to grow what I want, how I want. It's a city garden. So I'm just going to plant. And these vegetables got to fight themselves out and the winner lives, you know what I mean? And they were like so incessant on like, you've got to do this, you're not doing that, your hedges are like this, you've planted too much, you can't plant that, it's invasive and all this. And I'm like,
wow.
Slow down. So the following year, I was like, fine. They tried to kick me out. I'm like, you're not kicking me out because they always wanted to have these meetings in the evening when I worked. I'm like, I'm sorry, I work at night. Have them at 2:00 in the afternoon. I don't have a problem be there. You're forcing me out because I can't attend your meetings, but you can't attend my preferred times, right? So it's a bit of a debate. They're like, okay, you can have a garden next year. And I planted a spike garden. I called it a spike garden.
What's in a spike
garlic.
garden?
I'm like, all I'm going to plant here is garlic to spite all you people around me.
Great.
It's going to be the nastiest looking garden of garlic. And I just planted garlic and it was fantastic.
But was it good garlic?
Oh,
Like, was
spike
it-
garlic is the best garlic you can have. If I can recommend you planting anything, it's spike garlic. And I just did it that year. And then I was like, and now I'm out.
Yeah. Good
Teach someone
stuff.
else. Yeah, I love garlic, and I recommend planting garlic in your garden, or if you have like a rose bed.
Yeah.
Between your roses, plant some garlic.
Who does that ward off?
Dracula,
Yes.
and then aphids and things like that.
Okay.
Plus, then you have garlic scapes. You've got the garlic.
Yeah.
Canadian garlic is fantastic garlic. This is not the garlic episode. We'll have a garlic episode. We'll get into
we
that.
will, and I see your eyes lighting
Oh,
up.
man, when
Talking
it
about-
comes-
to satisfy some of what you're going through, there will be garlic in this cherry tomato
Amazing.
salad that I've made.
So let me get to my drink.
Please.
Okay. Full disclosure, I hate this cocktail.
Okay.
It's a very popular
Weird way
cocktail.
to start. That is a very strange way to start.
Ali, you said it before. You said, I tend to be more negative, you tend to be more positive. So I'm just going to start that way off the top, okay? So I'm going to make an Aperol Spritz.
Okay.
And the reason I don't like it is I'm not a big fan of sparkling wine, and I'm not a fan of Aperol.
And yet here they are both in front of us.
Together at last. I love Campari. Aperol's like Campari's ugly cousin.
So when you said I should have gotten my act together, Campari would have been your definition of getting your act together?
No.
Not even?
It would have been a Bloody Caesar.
Oh, it would have been a totally different...
Would have been a totally different, and we'll do a Bloody Caesar episode. But I want to be able
will.
to have all those ingredients, and I just didn't feel like I could get all the ingredients that I wanted for how I wanted to make it, and I didn't want to make it less than I can.
I get you.
All right, so the
We'll do
Aperol
an
Spritz.
omelet episode, and with the omelet we'll have a Bloody Caesar.
I love it.
Like a great
I love
brunch
it.
episode.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, my God.
All right, okay.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Focus.
Stay tuned for the omelet episode. Till then, I'm making an Aperol Spritz. Aperol is a bitter botanical liqueur.
May I smell
Yeah,
this?
please. Actually, it's an aperitif. I don't know if I would call it liqueur, but it does have liquor in it, so it's about 11% alcohol. Have you never had Aperol?
Smells like summer. Smells like summer,
Yeah.
my friend.
It's
Okay.
bright. This is
I've
going to
had
be
Aperol before,
Okay.
and oranges and Aperol somehow go together.
for sure.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because they use so the base of this is rhubarb and bitter orange and some botanical and some other secret sort of herb.
Right
So
on
it's
it,
herb
it says
based.
bitter liquor, and I never knew that. Okay. All right.
And I prefer Campari to Aperol, but that's a whole other thing, and we'll talk about that in another episode. So what I'm making is a spritz. It's a perfect summer cocktail. It's perfect if you have guests, and it's a light, bright drink. So I figured for cherry tomatoes, which to me are bright, light, and feel like summer or nice weather, this would be a perfect cocktail. So what we need here is sparkling wine, champagne, whatever you want to use, a Prosecco. I've got Prosecco, Aperol, and soda, and then oranges.
Yep.
And the reason why
What kind of oranges?
Well, that's just it. Just
Yes.
a regular orange. But I decided to make it a little bit different. So what I have here is a blood orange.
Yeah.
And I got two because I really want to have a nice red blood orange, and I didn't happen to pick it. So we'll use this one that kind of, because I love a blood orange that's really, really red.
Yeah,
and
one of those oranges really shafted you right there.
a little
That's
bit.
a totally normal
But I bet
orange.
this one's going to be better. This is going to be
Tastier?
very sweet, but we're going to
Okay.
go with this one
Okay.
because I just like the look of it better.
Sure.
You can use whatever orange you want, and if you don't have an orange, it's not the end of the world, right? So
Marco is cutting blood oranges into slices here.
That's right. And I'm a hand model, so I have to be very
Yeah,
careful.
yeah, you
right?
do.
So I'm just going to do
True story about the hand modeling.
We'll do it. We'll
Beautiful
do it.
hands.
We'll do it. I got to be careful, especially with like dangerous things like a knife. So I'm going to pass you the knife so it's out of
Yes.
my way.
Okay.
All right. So very simple. Ice. wine glasses or any glass will do, really, right? I'm just gonna use my hands, or do we have spoons here? So
No, you can use your hands,
my
man.
hands to take the ice out.
Get into it.
I always have ice problems.
Yeah, oh,
Remember
that's... Yeah, there are episodes where there's a lot of ice on the ground after Marco's done his thing. I think there's an excitement.
That fell between my legs. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
So what you want now is about 2/3 of your sparkling. I should have pre-peeled this.
You wanted to really do everything in real time, huh?
guess I
You can hear the foil coming off, and I thought I had heard.
There's no cork.
There's no cork. I really thought I'd hear a. Psst.
No.
Well, that
That'll be
was
another episode.
uneventful. Okay, so 2/3 of the way up with
Sparkling, yeah.
sparkling
You
wine.
could do less if you want a really strong drink, but I'm doing the traditional.
And interesting that you have soda water and sparkling
Yeah,
wine.
I don't know why. To me, it brightens it. I guess
Okay.
It lifts it if there's not enough bubbles in the champagne.
Yeah.
Sparkling wine, Prosecco, whatever you. It would be traditionally Prosecco because it's an Italian drink, so you would use Prosecco over sparkling. This is going to be the stronger one because.
I'm actually happy you didn't bring champagne. It's the only thing that doesn't jive with me somehow.
Oh, really?
Well, what are we? 1988 may have thrown up a bunch of champagne on
So
a New Year's
champagne's
Eve.
I've
Yeah.
never been a fan of champagne.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, this
I
is
don't know,
going to
I
work
never-
out just fine.
Just never liked it. But anyways, then a bit of a glug.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you
That's
go.
the
A
soda
glug of
water.
soda
Yeah.
water.
Okay.
Just a glug of it.
Okay.
And now, take your half orange, your half wedge of orange, and you use that
To mix.
to give it a little.
Okay. What about this guy here? I see
I
some.
brought that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just brought it because I
Talking
was
about
like,
some bitters here. We got some rhubarb
yeah, you don't
bitters.
need bitters in it. Cheers.
Cheers.
So let's give this a taste. I don't love it.
You don't love it, huh?
No, I don't love it.
You know why you don't love it is because you have other things in your mind of what this could have been and how great it could be.
Okay.
For me, if I'm sitting on a patio in summer and somebody brings that up, that's a great start.
Okay.
To the afternoon. Also, I shouldn't be drinking that much in the afternoon anyway, so
Fair enough.
it's good.
It's
like-
light. It's
yeah.
not gonna wreck your day.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna really. We're not having it with a Chateaubriand. So whatever we're having with cherry tomatoes, it's gonna complement it well. I
Yeah.
think. I brought some bitters. I brought rhubarb bitters. This base is rhubarb.
Yeah.
And I just thought, let me throw some rhubarb bitters in it just to see what happens. And
I have a bitters, and I wonder if this is of any interest to you.
Ali is going through a cupboard that has a multitude of wine and things, and he's pulling out a 12-year-old Scotch right now of some sort, and he's calling it a bitter. So I don't know if he just needs to up the alcohol content of. You know that he doesn't use the bitters. It's all the way in the back of this cupboard.
So far back. DSB Bitters. Tell me about this.
Oh, okay. First of all, I think it's their home. So this is Dillon's, which is
Dillon's.
a distillery in the Niagara region.
Yeah.
I love their alcohol.
Yeah,
I
you
think
have
it's
their
fantastic.
rhubarb
Yeah,
bitters.
and you've got their bitter here. I believe this is their bitter. Has this been opened?
It has.
Okay. Now I'll taste it. And the way to taste bitters, I was told, is to put it in the little crooks of your between your thumb and your.
Like where the salt goes when you're having bad tequila.
Oh, that's really nice. It's got a really nice sweetness to it.
So it was worth it. Shoot.
You know, you could put a little bit of that in there, and I
Okay.
think it would brighten it in a nice way.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to harm.
Drop and
That's
drop,
yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
it? Okay.
So this is the typical drink that you would have as an aperitivo or a starter drink to the start of your evening in a piazza in Italy.
Right.
And it's been brought over to North America, and everyone goes crazy for Aperol Spritzes in the summer. So much so that I believe 2 summers ago in Toronto, we ran out of Aperol. Liquor stores didn't have
Really?
it in their stores because so many bars were making Aperol Spritzes. So hoard your Spritz now, hoard your Aperol now.
For when
before
the
summer
zombies come,
Yeah.
for the apocalypse. Based on a true story, this is based on an infusion of selected herbs and roots.
That's right.
I like it. I see what the appeal is. You don't feel like you're drinking also. If you're trying to fool yourself and be like, not really drinking, I'm just having an aperitivo.
And it's a gorgeous color.
it's a beautiful
It's a beautiful
color.
color. And I
It
think
is
that's
a-
one of the things that people
it is
love
a pink
about it.
orange
Yeah.
mix here. Yeah. Well, great.
There you go.
I enjoy it. I know. I'm sad that you're not enjoying it as much as I am.
Listen, you know what? I'm enjoying it because I'm drinking it with you. And I'm not trying to write a Hallmark card
You
here,
have
but
a way of turning your negativity into something beautiful, my friend. Let's see what we can do here.
I'm like the cringe. Not quite the Grinch, but the cringe.
Cringe.
There you go.
So I am going to
Well, we
serve
got a
up
lot of
little bit
Foley
this.
in this episode, eh?
What do you mean by Foley?
Like, a sound effect maker
Yeah.
is a Foley artist.
Oh, is
and
it?
so
Okay.
yeah, and so what you're doing right now, like you're clinking the spoon with all the, and so we're making all these Foley effects, which could drive our listeners crazy because they're
I'm
like,
so
what's all
sorry,
that
guys.
tinkling sound? But if you look at it from the perspective of Ali is now doing Foley work,
There you go.
it's quite awesome.
This is for you. This shouldn't turn you off. This is for your ears.
Okay, I'm going to describe what I see here.
Yes.
Okay, so what I see is cherry tomatoes with some bread, and I see onions, and I want to say basil. Is that basil? Garlic. So to me, it looks like a panzanella salad.
It very much does.
Okay.
The bread, by the way, is olive bread because I could have added olives to this too. I decided to add an olive bread. Toasted it and rubbed it with garlic. I just don't want you to think
it's
that
fantastic.
I'm any schlub who just comes along and, Also, the green you see are chives.
Oh, yum.
Okay, so they're both chives and also the tops of some green onions and some red onion minced very fine and rinsed a few times so that it's not an overpowering onion flavor.
Right.
And then the vinaigrette is a really great olive oil, some balsamic vinegar, little bit of apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of maple syrup.
Oh, really?
Just for some sweetness, yeah.
Now, the maple syrup, is it because you're Canadian you put it in there? Or because...
No. I just, in a vinaigrette, just to get a little bit of sweetness, just to highlight the sweetness that already exists with these cherry tomatoes. I just feel like that'll be a very nice thing. It brings out, they complement each other very nicely.
It's a beautiful summer salad, and we'll have this listed on our show notes
Yes.
for our listeners. What I like about the cherry tomato in salads is that it brings a bit of bulk. It brings a bit of brightness. It brings color. It brings texture without being the overwhelming ingredient in the salad that you make.
Absolutely.
It complements everything else. It adds that texture, that bulk, that liquid that oftentimes salads lack when they're just a leafy green salad or whatnot. Here you've got the cherry tomato. You've got this bread, this garlic bread in it, and it absorbs the juice from the cherry tomato, but it doesn't become mushy. It still has structure to it. So together, this is a wonderful summer salad. You got guests over, aperitivo. This salad, you're starting off really well.
It's a great start.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And if you want to give it a little bit, let's say it's only one other course you have, and you want to give this some meat. The first thing you can do from a color standpoint, you can add other colored cherry tomatoes. The red and the orange and the yellow. That's great. You can add chunks of watermelon if you want to look like you're, you want to really dazzle your guests.
So you could do like tomato, watermelon, mint.
Yes, absolutely. So there's no mint here. That was the other thing I was going to say. That mint is a very nice thing, but I know that mint is big in drinks too. So I was like, let's save that. Let's not get.
Did I steal your mint thunder? I feel like I took the mint under
cherry
your...
tomato would steal mint's thunder,
Okay.
or vice versa. One or the other would happen. And the other thing is obviously cheese. This is this bowl is ripe for cheese. Is that a way to? Is that
Love
a
it.
pun? Yeah, it's. If I think of like a Bulgarian feta or like a semi-soft but still crumbly cheese, that would really go well in this. Problem is I'm trying to cut back on the cheese. Not successfully.
Oh, you're trying to cut back on cheese? I can't live without cheese.
I like eating cheese out. When I have it in the house, then it's like I'm a smoker who's like, I don't smoke, and then I buy a pack and then I finish it in 2 days.
That's me with Nutella. Nutella cannot be in my house.
Is that right?
I can't have Nutella in my house. It's the heroin that.
When you get Nutella in your house, when you make that critical mistake, you tell me I'm going to come to your house and we do a Nutella episode.
Oh man, we got to do a Nutella episode. Well, this episode is just us talking about other episodes.
I
don't want to disrespect
to know that you almost poked yourself in your own eyeball while you were talking about Nutella. So there's something very special there. You are literally piercing your own skin with like, oh god, Nutella, it hurts so good. Yeah, I got to see it. I got to see that in action.
It's not good. It's not good. But I don't want to disrespect the tomato here by talking about other ingredients because the tomato, and in particular, we're looking at the cherry tomato, and we did that consciously because there's so many great tomatoes out there. We'll probably have other tomato, like a beefsteak tomato
Absolutely.
episode, Marzano tomato. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're starting with the small but mighty cherry tomato. Now, you were saying it's the one thing you can grow in your garden?
Oh, yeah. Like, I can grow other things, but not reliably. This grows very reliably. Okay. You have a nice sunny summer. These guys are popping up, and there's an excitement, too, and I remember that from when I was a kid. That was the one thing I was always going out to see. I didn't care about the zucchinis and the cabbage and the cucumbers as much. Although now my love for cucumbers has definitely grown because my love for gin has grown. And together they've become so special. But, it was always, when you saw these things, you saw like 5 of them are green and you're like, oh, they're not there yet. And then the next day become red. And I remember part of my lies to my parents were like, any cherry tomatoes done? I'd be like, just a couple. Meanwhile, my breath is like, my mouth is full of like 8 cherry tomatoes that I would go and eat them in the garden and not bring them back. Which would have been horrific to my mother that I didn't wash them before eating them. But the joy of eating a cherry tomato.
There's nothing better than eating a tomato that's just been picked off a vine. Yeah. The tomato is never more perfect, I find. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about cherry tomatoes is they continue to grow. You have them throughout the season, right? It's not like, you wait so long for a
It's not 2 weeks in May and then you're done. This is it. And even the ones that you always want your garden, that's the top choice, but even the ones that grow, hydroponically.
Sure.
In
still winners. House,
Still winners.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about a cherry tomato too is it doesn't get mealy like another some hothouse tomatoes or hydroponically grown tomatoes don't have what it is, the flavor, the feel, the structure that a garden tomato has.
Reminiscent of styrofoam. Sometimes you've had terrible tomatoes,
100%.
And cherry tomatoes don't seem to go these things in their little baby form. I think there's really concentrated flavor. And there's so much you can do with it. I find also this ingredient, this bowl here, the bread and it's olive bread and cherry tomatoes. It reminds me of one of my favorite flatbreads, which is just black olives and cherry tomatoes. Right. No sauce, nothing like that. What is that called? I can't think of the bread, but it's
like a focaccia.
Focaccia is the word I'm thinking about. A focaccia barese with olives and
focaccia barese.
Yeah, with black olives, and this is a thing. This is a thing out there in the world. Yeah. All right.
Listen, I don't have a problem with that at all. I like focaccia. It's not my favorite thing. I do like focaccia, but I prefer a focaccia that has things like that.
That's it.
Just a plain
just
focaccia.
Giving a life to focaccia that you never thought it could.
Here's what I like to do with a cherry tomato.
Tell me.
All right. And if I was making a Caesar salad, this is what I would. The Caesar cocktail. This is what I would do. But if I was having guests over and I wanted a quick little appetizer, this is what I would do. A bamboo stick, cherry tomato, small bocconcini cheese, cherry tomato, basil, cherry tomato, boom. Put it on a plate, a little Maldon salt, take a little bit of good olive oil, drizzle that on, and then a little bit of balsamic glaze. Just a little bit. Don't go crazy with the balsamic glaze. People, I think they tend to go a little bit crazy with it. You just need the tiniest little eyedropper drop of it, and there you go. A little appetizer on a stick for your guest. Bright, beautiful colors.
Let me ask you how this works for you. And I don't mean to resuscitate your negativity, and I may not. Mm-hmm. Think about all of that. Now I was vegan for 2 months, so maybe that's why my head is here.
I'm not going to hold that against you.
Yeah, the bocconcini, as you said, cherry tomato. What about a small piece of just pan-fried pork belly, and then bocconcino and cherry tomato? Now it's not as fresh, but I feel like a crispy, salty meat and small, just a little chunk in there. I don't know. That's where my head is.
But here's the thing: won't the coldness of the bocconcini and the tomato really, put a damper on?
Do they have to be that cold? Can we not get them closer to room temperature? Work with me here, Marco.
I don't know.
Marco doesn't like.
I don't know.
Marco's doing a thing where he rubs his head and the back of his neck, and a lot of that has to do with. Who the hell am I talking to right now? He doesn't like.
What is he saying? How is he disrespecting what I just created? No, listen. I'm not going to say it's not going to work.
Yeah.
In my mind, I can't quite put that together.
I get it.
I want. You know what? For me, put the pork belly on the side. Let that feature itself.
Yeah.
Don't try to get too fancy.
I hear what you're saying. I think what happened is that I looked in this bowl of cherry tomatoes, and the bread now looks like chunks of pork belly, and I was like, oh man, pork belly's on my mind now.
I love it. I love what the tomato complements in this dish here.
Yeah.
Like even the little pieces of that's not onion, is it?
There's green onion, tops of green onions, and there's tiny, thin slivers of garlic. I tried to go Goodfellas when what's his name is in the prison, With the razor blade, it was like with that type of just so thin. Yeah. I like it. I'm happy with what's been accomplished here.
I think it's great.
I think I also have a buzz from your
Really?
Aperol Spritz. Don't be embarrassed.
No, I'm not embarrassed. It's just maybe you do. Like it's also. I should tell our listeners it's early in the morning. Like it's too early for even a brunch drink.
It's early. If any of my neighbors were watching Marco come in my home with a bag of alcohol, doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for us.
I couldn't even go to the liquor store to buy liquor because it's not open yet. That's how early it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
we're getting judged.
you could easily have a buzz this early in the morning. Plus, I gave you the larger glass.
That's right.
So
There's
there's more.
baby wine glass and an adult wine glass. So you gave me the adult one.
Tomato. Do you believe it's a fruit or is it a vegetable in your mind?
See, these discussions, what do they really achieve at the end of the day? Because if I say fruit, that doesn't mean I'm adding it to a fruit salad all of a sudden.
Right.
Right?
Fair.
If I say vegetable, that doesn't mean that, when they say eat this many vegetables a day, now I can have 6 tomatoes and
So what purpose does that prove? That's fair. That's a
I'm
fair.
not sure where to go with that. Also, I feel like you're setting me up to shit on me afterwards.
No.
Because I'm going to say one of them and you're going to be like, in fact, no! I'm going to say vegetable.
Okay.
Yeah. Where do you stand?
I say vegetable. It's
Do
a
you?
fruit. Listen, I can acknowledge that it's a fruit.
Yeah.
But like you, I'm never going to have it as a, let me have a bite of a tomato like I would an apple and just eat it like that. That's
Right.
not my thing. I need it to be complemented with olive oil or some other aspect. It needs to be.
Do Italians do this? I think. I know I've seen this in many
Racism alert,
ethnic.
racism
Maybe racism alert. Take a tomato and just salt and pepper on it and eat it, right?
But that's when you pick it off the vine.
Right.
That's the best time. So you take the tomato. So look at me. I'm like just what I just said I don't do.
Yeah.
I would totally do. You pick the tomato, give it a nice slice.
Yeah.
This would be a larger tomato, not necessarily cherry tomato. A little bit of salt.
Yeah.
Maybe a drizzle of olive oil, and just go to town.
Right.
Yeah.
So in India and Pakistan, something they do is with oranges.
Oh, yum.
They take oranges and then they make just a little pile of salt and pepper on the side of the plate, and they dip and the reason that kind of stuff
is
is
amazing.
done is because of how hot the climate is.
Okay.
So you're sweating and you're losing electrolytes or you're losing sodium, so they find places to put sodium. I can appreciate that fact that it's a very hot climate.
Sure.
I can even kind of appreciate dipping it in the salt. It's not the craziest thing, dipping orange in salt, but it can be so fantastic on its own. I feel like we're
Right.
going somewhere we don't need to go.
See-
But I always think about tomatoes. I'm like, let's do this with tomatoes, people. You got a great thing going. Take a sweet tomato instead of a sweet orange and dip it in salt. Now I'm all in. But the oranges I can't fully get behind.
What you just said brought me to a conclusion.
Okay.
Electrolytes.
Yes.
Is tomato a fruit? My answer is going to be no, because Gatorade does not do tomato flavor. They do citrus flavor, they do berry flavor, they do all these flavors to enhance their electrolytes, but they don't do a tomato flavored Gatorade. And until they do, I will not concede that tomato is a fruit.
Should we get in touch with Gatorade and see if we can be
Could you
sponsored
imagine?
after that?
And then
Huh?
we'll be like,
After that?
tomato Gatorade, the best Gatorade around. It's like a meal and it gives you electrolytes.
We gave you that idea, man. You owe us something. Yeah, tomato Gatorade, even tomato juice. Where do you stand on tomato juice?
So that's why I like the Caesar.
Yeah.
And I will make a Bloody Caesar for our show.
Yeah.
I prefer Clamatos juice. Tomato juice. Give me tomato soup. Don't give me tomato juice.
Yeah.
I have no time for it.
I had a friend who
For
was trying
Italians,
to
it's a
stop
sauce.
drinking.
It's like you've made me a watery sauce.
know,
What are you
exactly.
doing? I'm not going to drink this. Who drinks sauce? No. Make it with some pasta. Fry some garlic.
Yeah.
Yes, but don't give me this.
I had a friend who was trying to cut down on his beer consumption, so he was going half beer, half tomato juice.
Oh well, tomato juice in something like isn't that a Mexican?
Yeah, it's michelada.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Except he was drinking about 6 to 8 beers a day, and now he was drinking 6 half beers and 6 half, and I'm talking about in pint glasses.
Wow.
And his face started getting swollen, and he was like, something was wrong. I think his joints were getting swollen.
my
It's because the sodium in tomato juice is bananas, and you can't be drinking. He was going through those big cans of tomato juice.
I would argue that in order to make tomato juice palatable, you've got to put so much salt in it.
Yeah.
And hence I have the problem with it.
Right.
But I don't have a problem. If you put clam juice next to it, I'm
This
good.
is the thing.
I'm
Is
good.
it takes so little to make a bad thing good.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's true. We'll get into that. For our international listeners, Clamatos juice is tomato with clam juice
yeah.
and salt, and we make a drink called the Bloody Caesar, which we've mentioned many times on this episode. So
good.
stay tuned for that
It
particular
is a
episode.
crime, America, that you don't have that drink in your country. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'll put that on record.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Write your letters to Ali. All right, we're gonna go into the segment of our show. The segment of our show. Look, I'm probably wasted too if I can't string 3 words together. Yeah. We're gonna go to the last segment or the dessert segment of our show, Eat and Drink, which is my least favorite segment.
My favorite. It's tops for me. I basically am here every day for this.
Everyone I talk to about it say
Yeah.
they love this part.
Yeah.
And they love it because they can tell in my voice that I'm not enjoying it.
No. Well, let's think about my enjoyment for once.
All right, fair enough. So this is what's in Marco's mouth.
What's in Marco's mouth? That's right. What's in Marco's mouth? It's nothing dirty. Will he guess it? Will he mess it? Let's find out. What's in Marco's mouth?
And I'm going to put on a blindfold, if I can find it. I should have had it out before. And Ali is making something that he's going to then put in my mouth, and I have to guess what this food item is.
Okay, now let's let this cool down a little bit. Oh, I've already given out too much.
Okay, so it's going to be something warm.
So here, it's a thing.
Oh, it smells great, whatever it is.
There you go. So it's a thing.
Not necessarily tomato-based, right?
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily connected to what we were doing. The idea is that it's a thing and it's seasoned with something else. I don't want to use the right word here, but there's a couple of things operating here. Let's see what you can.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll describe the smell the scent that's coming from it. It's got a savory smell to it. It smells rich and tasty. What am I doing now?
It's so hot.
Okay, it's too hot.
I'm
Okay.
gonna burn your mouth.
Oh shit!
Shit.
You
know why? Because I didn't want you to see it. I didn't want you to see it.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's been warming on low for the last half an hour as we've been chatting.
So it's hot from heat and not spice, is what you're suggesting.
Who knows? Did I say
man.
that? Did I say that?
No, you didn't.
I never
I'm
said
making
that.
assumptions here. I'm making total assumptions.
Here. Okay, let's get that mouth
Okay.
ready.
Am I opening? Okay.
Yeah. It's hot though. It's hot. So when you can take it slowly. You can't touch it though. That'll give it away potentially.
It's huge.
It's huge. Marco, tell us what is in Marco's mouth.
Okay.
This is so tough. I would never be able to do this. I love that you do this.
Okay. Its structure has a starchy feel like a potato.
Okay.
But I taste a sweet herb with it, almost like a fennel.
Okay.
Is it a potato? But it's not quite a potato. Can I have another piece, or is that all I?
Another piece. No. That's great. That's great.
But it's not quite fennel. But is it dill? Am I tasting dill? I think I'm tasting dill.
You can think all you want,
Okay.
buddy, but that's not what's
Okay.
happening
Oh,
here. All
Jesus.
right.
It's huge.
It's huge, he said.
Could you not put a smaller piece?
I mean, it's there's reasons that I can't do that. I'll explain to you later. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, huh? Is there any clarity?
Oh, you're killing me here. Like you can't make it easy, right, Ali? You have to make it this complex.
It's two things. It's one thing and then another thing with it. That's what it is.
Because I'm gonna say potato, but it's not potato. I feel like it's like a different kind of root, celeriac or some shit like some. Okay, potatoes with dill in a light oil, like it's a light oil. It's not olive oil. Avocado oil, cooked in avocado oil. That's gonna be my guess.
Okay, I invite you to take
Reveal.
off your blindfold and revel in your failure. It's a pierogi. It's a potato
Oh, it's a pierogi. Yes.
Come on, it's a pierogi, buddy.
It's totally a pierogi.
So it was potato.
Okay.
It was, I boiled them very quickly, but then I tossed them in butter. So
Right.
that avocado oil, not olive oil thing was actually butter.
Okay.
And then that is Thai basil. So I was connecting it to today, to the basil. This is a Thai basil, which is very, very, it's a different flavor.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use it in a pasta sauce.
Oh, man.
But you would use
But
it
wait
in
a
like an
minute.
eggplant
There's no
curry.
dill in that at all?
Oh my God, you son of a gun.
Is
There
that dill? Is
There
that dill?
Yes,
Okay.
there is. Hey.
Well, you can't put two herbs and expect me. Okay, but that is dill, right? I'm not.
That is dill because I tossed a bunch of it with cherry tomatoes and some fried onions. Served that last night, but then this I kept aside. But there are little bits of dill there.
Okay, good.
Listen, there's so little dill on this that is actually the most impressive thing you've ever had.
I could
That's
tell it was
great.
potato, but it didn't have the crunch of potato. But it was so huge. I'm like, okay.
I know. I'm trying to cut it in
No,
half.
I
It's
see
all
now.
crispy on the outside.
It's hard to. Like, how small can you cut a pierogi and
That's it,
still
then
make
you
it a
have no
pierogi?
potato
Yeah,
in the end,
yeah.
right?
Oh, well done, my friend. Well done.
Okay.
You know what? I'll say this. I'm happy that I got parts of it correct, but wow, that was weird to have such a huge piece of pierogi put in my mouth when you can't see it.
I feel like that probably leaves less room for your mouth to do the sort of investigating because it's just all full of a half of pierogi.
And you know what's interesting? It's like, okay, so typically I would have pierogi with a bit of sour cream. So
Yes.
not having it with the sour cream also kind of throws
Right.
me. My goodness, well done, well done.
Thank you. No, well done
Listen,
on your end.
If you have suggestions for what our segment, What's in Marco's Mouth, email us at...
But also in the subject header, say suggestion for Marco's mouth. That way I read it and he doesn't read it. Otherwise you spoil it,
You're right.
Yeah, of course.
You're right. Oh,
So
that's great.
You have to put the subject line in that one. A little extra homework, not a big deal. It'll be worth it in the end.
Now, before we end, anything exciting happened to you food-wise this past weekend?
Very much so.
Okay.
I was in Ottawa for an event. I was hosting an
Amazing.
event. I decided to stay an extra night in Ottawa. Our
Ottawa,
nation's capital
thank you.
right now in Canada has a crazy food scene. There's about 7 or 8 restaurants on the 100 best list of the 100 best restaurants in Canada that are from Ottawa.
What?
A decade ago, there was -2 restaurants, and they would take away points because it was you could just it was like chicken finger capital of Canada or something, or whatever was great. You couldn't find it very easily.
Fair.
Now there is a scene, and I went to a place called North and Navy, and man, I just cannot say enough
Really?
good things. Yeah, do you know what a cicchetti is?
Yeah, cicchetti.
Cicchetti, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
So I've never had these
It's-
thin, disc-shaped pastas.
No, then hang on. I'm thinking something totally
Are
different.
you?
Yeah, a cicchetti is like a little accompaniment to a drink. If you're having an aperitivo, you would have like a little food item that they would serve you
This
to
was
complement.
Cicheti, and the E had an accent going on it.
Okay.
No?
No.
Nothing doesn't mean anything?
No, I mean,
It's possible that you don't know something from Italy comes from a different region.
it could be very
Right?
regional. It sounds like orecchietti, but continue.
No,
Okay.
this is like a thin, disc-shaped. Picture like a mini, like a tiny, tiny pancake.
Okay.
Like a gold coin type of size.
Okay.
And very thin, and with walnuts and honey, and you just let it was so good.
Is it a pasta or is it a?
It's a pasta.
Okay.
Yeah. We also had this zucchini, so spiralized zucchini with some chickpeas and lemon and olive oil with a smoked burrata on top of it. So
Yum.
nice cheese on top of it. That was these are the two memorable things. And then we had bistecca alla Florentina.
Yeah.
So a massive $150 steak.
Yeah.
First they cook it sous vide and then they pan fry it to sear the outside. And so it's just this perfect.
Was it good?
It was so good.
Was it good? Because a lot of people claim they can do a bistecca fiorentina, but a lot of places can't.
These guys
and
know what they're
people
doing.
would argue that you can only really get a bistecca fiorentina in Tuscany.
Yes. Okay.
Because it's supposed to come from the Chianina cattle.
Yes.
Which is an ancient oxen type cattle.
Okay.
And so that's why the steaks are so big. So I don't know if they used Chianina.
So big. It was such a big
okay,
steak.
so there you go.
Yeah, it fed 5 of us.
Yum.
Yeah, it was great. It was phenomenal, and I think these guys are trying to stay as close to the purity of what they're serving as possible.
North and Navy.
North and Navy.
If you're in Ottawa, the
Yeah.
nation's capital, check it out.
Yeah.
That gets a thumbs up from you. That's brilliant.
It does, and my wife was like, "Why are you staying an extra night in Ottawa? You're done. Why don't you come home?" I'm like, I'm gonna try to figure out it. But what I did was I ate very, very well.
Hopefully she won't listen to this episode.
No, and hopefully she won't find the receipt that is in one of my pockets somewhere. But man, that's what I do. That's what I do. It's recon. It's research.
Yeah, listen,
it's for you. I do this for you.
Thank you. And I'm thanking you for our listeners too.
Yeah.
Because it's important to find, when you find little gems like that, share it with the world. Don't keep it too close to the chest, because if they don't have enough people going to it, then they close down.
And there's also the flip side, not to be the negative Nelly here, but one day you go to the restaurant and there's a lineup and you can't get in.
That's the Bourdain effect, right? Because when he had his show, he would go to these little places and sort of mention them, and people would flood them, and then they wouldn't be what they once were.
Exactly.
Right. Well,
let's not screw it up.
No.
North and Baby, it's called. No.
It's North and something. Look it up. Try to find it.
Might be in Ottawa. Might be in Toronto.
We have a little treasure map on our website.
Tell me about your weekend food.
Okay, so we have a neighborhood restaurant around the corner from where I live. And it's just a little neighborhood restaurant. It's not meant for the masses. It doesn't have many tables. And I love it because it's so charming. It's so wonderful. And it's a Negroni and pasta bar restaurant. So they've got Negronis on the menu and they've got pasta. And what's beautiful about this is the pastas are all $10. They're not huge pastas. You know, you go to some restaurants and they just give you so much pasta and you're like my stomach can't contain all this that you've put in front of me. And they do.
I mean, I'll do my best, but my stomach can't
don't get me wrong. I will. I will make it happen. I won't walk out of that restaurant in a straight line. Right. But that said, it's great. And next time we do an episode at my house, we should go there because
I want to give it a name or not yet.
I don't know. I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should. It's called Annabelle.
You tease.
It's called Annabelle.
Okay.
And it's somewhere in the city. It's a neighborhood bar. Everyone's so lovely there, and they do a great brunch too.
I've told you this before, Marco. This is my favorite thing when. The thing I hate the most, let's start with the negative, is when a restaurant does 17 different things and none of them particularly well. You know, conversely, my favorite is this. We do pasta, we do Negroni. Oh, you guys have pizzas? No. Do you guys have beer? We have one beer. We're just doing this. You don't like this? Don't come here.
Yeah, go somewhere else.
It's so important. Yeah. It's so important. I think I've told you the story in Jordan where I went to this place. They make two types of desserts. Both of them are called kanafe. Kanafe with the
For the
cheese.
record, you've never told me this, but go on.
Never told you this?
But now I'm excited to hear it. I've never heard
you.
this story before.
It's just a son and dad combo making this kanafe dessert, and that's it. And it's a very, it takes a lot of work. It's just this crispy semolina exterior, cheese in the middle, and it was just two ways. Kanafe 2 ways.
Yum.
It's like going into a place that goes, hey, we've got hot dogs, all dressed or plain.
There you take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I once went to a bakery in a suburb of Naples, Portici, where it was a father and son, and their bakery was really, really. It just was gray and had an oven, and they would make this wonder dessert, sfogliatella, which looks like this particular one looks like a clam, and they had a photo of their. And this is sad, so I'm not trying to make a light of it, of the dead mother. So the man's husband, the wife, and they're just paste. That was the only thing in the restaurant or in the bakery. And they were just using like a pizza shovel in the oven, taking these things out, putting them in. And they didn't have smiles on their faces. They were really upset. And I've never had a better tasting sfogliatella in my life.
Sometimes anger and spite, like that garlic that you made. Sometimes anger and spite can make a great meal.
There you go. Well, we'll leave you with that. Thank you for listening to Eat and Drink. This is my friend Ali Hassan.
This is my friend Marco Timpano.
And cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you, our listeners.
We hope you got your fill of Eat and Drink with Ali Hassan and Marco Timpano. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter at Podcast Eat Drink. Email them your cocktail and food suggestions to podcasteatdrink@gmail.com. Until the next episode, bottoms up.